All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. And yes, again, today I have another super special guest. I consider this man a friend. I've had him on a few times because he works a lot. He does a lot of different things. First discovered him in the band Perfect Plan a number of years ago, blew me away. I reached out to him and he was nice enough to do an interview. And then, last year, I think we were talking about his album, his solo album, The Rumble, which came out, was fantastic with Michael Palace. Kent Hilli returns, and here he is now as the lead singer of the band Giant. This is pretty big news. Kent, how are you, brother?
I'm fine, brother. Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much. It seems a bit weird when you say the new singer of Giant. I can't still believe that, but it's sinking in.
Yeah, I mean, you were a big fan of this group. In fact, Perfect Plan, I think, did a little EP or covers album, and you guys covered a Giant song. Did that have anything to do maybe with the fact that Serafino and the gang over at Frontiers probably thought, this might be a good idea, right? To bring in Kent Hilli as the new vocalist.
Yeah, I think David has explained that also in a couple of interviews, David Huff, about, how things happened when I became the new singer. And so they had heard the cover of Stay, and Frontiers knew that Giant was my all-time favorite band. So it was a no-brainer when I got the question. But so I think that Serafino worked hard for a couple of years to get the whole band to do the comeback. But the problem was who's going to sing. So when we did the Stay cover, and Dave and the guys listened to it, and it's about a year ago now since I got that email with that question. It just said Giant in the headline, in the email, and I thought that okay, so they want me to do another Giant cover. So I didn't see that coming. I think it was Mario that sent me that email, and it just said, to make a long story short, do you want to be the new singer of Giant? So I just fell off my chair, so it's still a bit surreal, I'm still finding it a bit hard to grasp sometimes. But we've been working very hard for the new album, and during 2021. So now we can, sit back and enjoy the ride. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it's a great story because obviously you were a fan. I remember when the Last of the Runaways came out, and 1989. Kent, are we old or what, man? I mean, this just. I mean, and that thing came out here in the States, and it was a big deal. It was, and then their next album comes out, and the critics are just loving it. Unfortunately, as I tell the story oftentimes, the industry started to really change. This was a band that was up and coming, that had some great musicians in it. Obviously, David is along for at least one track here. Just an amazing guitar player, and you guys also have John Roth on this, who's absolutely no slouch, and with Winger and Starship and a number of other things. But again, you can't underestimate John Roth. He's really good. But that had to be, you're thinking back to a long time ago, and these were albums we either had the CD or the cassette, or that's just such a legacy of great melodic rock. And here you are, how many years later, getting to front this band. That's got to feel pretty amazing.
It's mind-blowing, to say the least. my two brothers we talked the other day, and they said that, you know, do you remember when we first heard the Last of the Runaways record, and we started talking about all the parties that we had during the summer, and, you know, listening to the Last of the Runaways album all throughout those parties, all throughout the summer. And so one of my brothers just said that it's going to feel a bit, it feels a bit strange that you're suddenly, you know, fronting that band, and we can see you in a video with the band. So it is mind-blowing when you start to think about it, and you think about the history behind. You know, I've been listening to Giant probably every week since 1989. So
wow. Yeah.
It's definitely, you know, Dann Huff. It was both my favorite guitar player and favorite vocalist. You know, I got a top 5 list, which is on together with Jimmy Jamison and Lou Gramm and those guys. So he's way up there for me. And so obviously I started, you know, thinking about, you know, replacing someone like that in a band. And you know, I just came to the conclusion that I can't say no, no matter what. So it was, I think, the fastest response to an email that I've ever done. So, but obviously there are some hardcore fans that still, you know, want Dann Huff back, and I can't do anything about that. The guy's not singing anymore, and but he's on the album with some solos, and he's still a fantastic guitar player. And but I think that John Roth does one hell of a job on this record, and I think he's one of the greatest guitar players in the world to me. So John Roth is amazing, and but Dann Huff still got it. Yeah. And so that was really fun.
Yeah, it's good to have Dan's blessing on this, per se, because again, if Dan didn't say, "Gee, this isn't a good thing moving forward," I mean, he had to probably, you know, talk to his brother and say, "Hey, you know, this is the guy, right? And we've got to, you know, we've got to move forward with this." I mean, it's a brand. A band is a brand, and Giant, you know, when people hear Giant, they're expecting that great melodic rock sound, a heavy sound at times, but also maybe, you know, a few amazing ballads in there as well. And this is what you've been doing with Perfect Plan, with your solo career. And I think you fit in really well. I mean, I'm not trying to butter your bread here. I'm just telling you that this,
Thanks,
vocally
man.
speaking, and we talked about this before, and you mentioned Lou Gramm and Jimmy Jamison, who are a couple of, Jimmy's my favorite all time. That's And I tell people that Jimmy just had like this swagger, like he took over the song. He was just, it wasn't just his singing, it was his attitude, it was the way he sang, you know, the way he presented himself, which I think is really important. And you've studied the greats. Let's put it that way. It's kind of like, you know, the classical person who studies Mozart and Beethoven and says, you know, I think I can try to imitate or emulate some of that. And I think you've done a great job at that. Tell us about like this new record. Like, what are some of your favorite tracks on it? I've heard the whole thing. There's a couple of singles out there that they came out with. Let Our Love Win, I think, was the first one, if I'm correct. And has a nice little intro too, kind of an instrumental, atmospheric intro, which again will take you back to 1989 a little bit. But then you guys really kick hard. This isn't going to be like a mellow listening. Your hair is going to kind of go back a little bit when you've got the speakers cranked up, you know?
Well, it's a bit hard to name just one favorite track, because there's so many on this record. And you know, I definitely think that people are in for a treat, and they're gonna get that old Giant feeling when they listen to the whole record. Just putting out 2 singles doesn't really showcase the whole album to me. But you know, obviously we got some really cool ballads in there. You know, Giant is very famous for their ballads, and
Right.
I got one song that is my favorite ballad, and it's "I Walk Alone," which is the last track on the album.
Great song.
And it was a bit challenging because I think I took some notes on that one. I've never sung that high, I think, but it was emotionally a challenging song to do, because you really had to put yourself in a state of mind and stay emotionally to you know, just pour yourself out there and be very present. So that was I think that is you know, my favorite track on the album. But you know, among the up-tempo songs, I think, you know, songs like Standing Tall, Never Die Young, Don't Say a Word are really cool songs. And you know, you can recognize the Giant feel of it, but it also has some, you know, modern touch to it. And I think we wanted to do something that is modern, but yet you can recognize the classic feel of Giant. And I think we've succeeded with that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the songs that stood out to me was Standing Tall. It had kind of like a bluesy swagger thing going on, and I'm thinking this is just good music. You know what I mean? Because it's rock and roll. And I like the production on this. It's very clean. It's not cluttered. This is why I like the way John Roth handles his job on this, because he's just out there, like that mix. It's very out front. And if you're a lover of good, clean guitar, like rocking guitar, I have to recommend this album to people. And the release is coming up, right? It's like 3 days from today, I believe, the 21st. Am I right?
On Friday. So, and I think that, you know, I discussed the album a couple of times with David over Skype, and you know, the hardcore fans still wants to hear Last of the Runaways and Time to Burn, but you know, we can only do the best we can in terms of writing songs. I'm not Dan Huff. I got my own style of singing, and obviously he has influenced me over the years. We talked about Jimmy Jamerson and Lou Gramm and all those guys. You know, they've been my teachers, and I've you know, trying to do the same stuff that they've done, but in the end, I do my own thing, and you know, that's the only thing I can do. And we just focused on creating good songs and you know, doing a great album. So that's all you can do in the end of the day.
You're right.
And I think everyone in the band has done you know, a great job on their instruments, and working also with Alessandro Del Vecchio, both as a songwriter and producing a part of the album has been great. I mean, he is obviously a machine, but such a great guy as well, you know, so easy to work with. And so it's been a blessing all the way. And hopefully when the album is out, you know, you have to listen to the whole album and, you know, get the feel of it. And because 2 singles doesn't really showcase the whole album.
Right.
I'm satisfied with it, more than satisfied, actually. Very proud of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think and I love the stuff, obviously, that you've done with your own band. We'll say it's your own band, Perfect Plan. By the way, is this going to be like a coexisting thing? Like you're working you know, maybe in the future there might be more giant projects, but you're going to continue on with Perfect Plan. How's that going to work out?
Yeah, you know, Perfect Plan is my baby, and you know, I'm all in when it comes to Perfect Plan, and we've just written the next album. We finished writing a couple of weeks ago, and we've started the recordings for the next album. Wow. So you know, the music business today, you need to get busy, because it's a hard business, and as long as there demand and you deliver, and you think it's fun, you know. So being able to do both Perfect Plan, Giant, and my solo stuff is a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that. And you know, the music business demands that you do a lot of stuff. It's not like in the 80s when you got $5 million on a budget to make an album, and it took 2 years to do it. You don't have that kind of money in today's business. And also during the pandemic, the positive thing during the pandemic is that you have had a lot of time to create music and to write and being in the studio. So, but obviously there's a lot of money being lost not playing live. So but you know, I'm living my dream, and it sounds cliche when it comes to Giant, but it really is a dream come true, and it also is a dream come true to be able to do what we do in Perfect Plan, because that's what started the whole thing. And being able to meet the guys on a weekly basis in Perfect Plan and play together is there's something magical about that, because you know, we create the songs together in the band, and it's a whole different way of creating. Like I did with my solo album, I just you know, sat in my living room with my acoustic guitar and created the songs, and then started to work with Mike Palace, and that's a whole different way of doing music. Perfect Plan, we meet weekly in our keyboard player's house and start jamming together, and it's so much fun to do that. Well,
I mean, that's the organic old school way. You know, you get in the studio and you know, you rehearse and you play live. Somebody comes up with an idea and they go, oh well, that's a great lick, maybe I can write something to go with that lick, you know. And then before you know it, you know, you made a song. I know Michael Palace must have been crazy to work with, because his brain seems to be in a different place, you know. He's a smart dude.
He's a smart dude, and he's on a different planet than you and me.
He kind of is, but and in a good way. I'm not saying he's, you know,
no.
He's a great guy. But let me ask you this. This is an interesting question. You know, Giant has a fan base, you know, pretty much all over the world. I'm thinking in the United States, there's still people that were kind of hungry for more music, and it went away and it came back, and they've been here and there. They made a little comeback, and now, you know, with this album, I know with the world in the state that it's still in after 2 years, could there be a live Giant gig? Has anybody even suggested that, or is this going to be just the studio projects?
No, we've talked about doing live gigs, and you know, the band is all in for that. You know, obviously David and Mike and the guys, you know, John is playing with Winger and Starship as well, so we need to get everyone's schedules you know, timed, and you know, but David has talked in a couple of interviews that if you want us to come to Europe and play live gigs, we'll be there. And we've talked about that, and it's nothing decided yet, but obviously that will be a dream, to play the old songs and the new songs live for the fans. That will be awesome.
Definitely. That's almost like breaking news. That's like the best part of this interview so far for me.
Yeah.
Is that just because to have Giant music played live, to have obviously David there and Mike there, I think is great. Maybe we could get Dan out to play one song with you guys. I mean, I don't know. Even if he doesn't want to do it, like you said, John, people need to hear this record because John is just really intense record. He's
killing it on this album. No, that will be that will be great. So I cross my fingers for that, and hopefully we can do some live gigs and some festivals maybe, and some really great gigs. So yeah, but David and Dan are working together still today, and producing a lot of Nashville country stuff, and on a very high level. So I know they have busy schedules, but David has talked very positively on about doing live gigs. So hopefully we can do that.
Yeah. Well, I got to say this, we'll wrap it up quick here. I wanted to let the fans know how great this album is to start with, because it is.
Thanks,
I've heard it start to finish, thanks to the folks over at Frontiers Music. You are killing it as usual, and
Thanks,
I know you're a humble guy. I know I tell you stuff, and we talk back and forth, and I can tell you're kind of like, okay, man, but you really are one of the better singers keeping this genre going, and this is why I continue to talk to you and other people. I had Alessandro on last week. We were talking about his new album because his band has a new album coming out. And but I wanted to talk about this and Perfect Plan. And now we know that you guys are working on new material. Any date for that album, or probably?
No, we just know that the label wants to release it during 2022, and it's not going to happen before the summer, but hopefully during the fall somewhere.
That makes sense.
So we've just started recording. Rolf, our guitar player, has been in the studio doing a couple of tracks already, and in a couple of weeks' time, I think Fredrik and Mats is going to go into the studio and lay all the drums and bass. So hopefully we can deliver the masters somewhere in maybe April, May, somewhere. Hopefully, and then we'll see what the label decides on which dates. I just got the my own Giant copies today.
Oh, you're killing me. I want one of those. Can you send me one?
Can you see that?
A cassette.
It's a cassette.
Oh man. It's my son's car, which I gave him. It's a 97 Ford Taurus with the cassette deck. And I'd love to just pop that sucker in there and go for a ride in the car. I mean, I haven't played a cassette. I do not have any cassette playing equipment, nor do I own cassettes, but that's so cool that you're putting out a cassette of this new record.
Also vinyl.
There's the vinyl. And I got the vinyl player, I got the record player, so you can maybe call Serafino and work something out. I understand. Look, sending out product today in a world like this where it costs a lot, it costs a lot of money, and everybody's streaming and downloading. But I love the physical stuff. I love the CDs, the cassettes, the albums. I'm running around in thrift stores these days looking for albums all the time. It's pretty weird, and my wife thinks I'm crazy, but it's like I can play them, and it's just, you know, when you
Yeah.
grew up and you were looking at the album, you flip it over and you pull out the sleeve. There's nothing, there's just nothing better than that. It's just a lot of fun.
No,
So
nothing is better than that, because and to me as a musician, it's you know, to get a physical copy in your hand, and you know, I've done this, I've created this, and you know, it's a whole different feel than just putting out your music on Spotify, you know. So
yeah, the artwork too is classic Giant look with the logo.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing. You're part of that, you know, because you grew up seeing that branding, and now you're like, I'm in this band, I'm singing it. It's gonna be what, you know. Hey, before we go, you have a fan club. You have a fan club over on Facebook that I'm a member of. So people can join the Kent Hilli fan club on Facebook and tell the world how great Kent Hilli is, and also find like-minded people that enjoy your music and probably the things that you grew up listening to, like Survivor and Foreigner and all that great stuff. I just wanted to mention that to people. And who knows, Kent, maybe you're just going to be bigger in the next couple of years because of me and your fan club. So
well, you never know, but it's called Official Kent Hilli Fans, and it's run by the amazing Birgitte Petersen, which is probably my biggest fan. And Perfect Plan's biggest fan as well. So she's amazing and does a really great job. So just hit Facebook and go in there.
There you go.
Yeah. And obviously we have a new Giant Facebook page as well, Giant the Band.
Nice.
And we've got an Instagram account as well, new Instagram account. So just go in there as well. And hit the follow button.
All right, that is a great way to end this. We give you a few plugs and tell people that the album comes out on the 21st.
Yeah.
You can pre-order that album on the United States side, and also in Europe they have their own sites. And this, I'm telling you what, for the first album to buy, if you haven't bought an album yet in 2022, I would go buy this new album by Giant. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I really think so far, Kent, I know it's early, this is my favorite album of 2022. So I'm just putting it out there.
Wow, man. Thanks, man.
And best of luck in the new year. We hope that you can go out and do some gigs at some point, either with Perfect Plan or Giant, or, you know, however you want, by yourself, whatever you could do.
Exactly.
Been a long time for this. I hope it finally goes away. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Kent Hilli, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, brother.
All right.